every speaker that comes on stage, every CD that you listen to, most books that you read, people are going to say it begins with a dream. The stronger the dream, the quicker you attain your goals. Well, I had dreams. I was working for a major company. I was educated as a nuclear physicist. I moved into engineering, more practical aspect of it. Moved up into management and eventually wound up in executive management, supervising a large number of people. I had a good job. They paid me good money, but I hated the lifestyle. I liked the work. But getting up every morning, sometime when it's still dark, and up in New Jersey, going to work, commuting, sometimes in the snow, the sleet, the ice, I just looked one day to my future, and I said, I don't want to do this all my life. But as I would go to work, we would pass by the airports in New York, and I'd see the planes taking off. And some were flying south to the beautiful islands of the Caribbean. And where was I going? Another day going to work. Some of the planes took off flying over the Atlantic Ocean. Oh, I knew where they were going. To the beautiful cities of Europe. To Paris, London, Rome, and Budapest. I didn't forget you, Janos. And I said to myself, someday, somehow, I'm going to be in those planes, not in this car, commuting to work every day. I didn't know how. I began searching for a business because I read in a book by Charles Paul Getty. How to Be Rich was the title. He said, if you want to make a lot of money and have the time to enjoy it, get in your own business. Well, I'm an engineer. I'm a scientist. I'm a supervisor. I looked for an engineering business. The problem was I didn't have the capital. We had 3 kids at the time. We wound up with 6, 17 grandkids, and now 2 great-grandchildren. But back then, 3 kids. They liked to eat. Couldn't put away the money for the capital. Back to work again, watching those planes take off. Someday, somehow, I'm going to be in those planes. I got a telephone call one day from a friend. He invited me to his home to a meeting about a business opportunity. I said, what is it? He said, Amway. I said, what's Amway? He said, well, we got these products. And I'm thinking, I'm an engineer, an executive, products. But I was open because I wanted to get into those airplanes. You see, the dream was strong. I was willing to look at anything. So I went to the meeting. The first thing I saw were the products. I wasn't very interested. But as soon as they laid out the marketing plan on a chalkboard with the alphabet running around it, this was many years ago, before PowerPoints, as soon as they got to the plan, and they got to the point where you sponsor people who sponsor people, I got it like that. Now, I know many people don't get it that quickly, but I got it like that. I realized immediately, the same thing that we hear from Kiyosaki and many, many other business leaders, that you need to find a business where you can duplicate yourself. Multiply your time and your effort to other people. And in that way, not only do you make money, but you gain the time to enjoy the money you're making. I signed up that night. For the next 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, I studied the kit and the products. On Monday, I showed a plan. Tuesday, showed a plan. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, showed it 3 times. My first week in the business. Sponsored 10 people in 2 weeks, front line. The following week, 9 quit. With that, my sponsor quit. And all 4 of the other uplines that I knew quit. I didn't know anybody in the business except the one young man who stayed in the business, who sold 600 PV that first month. So I get a call from a person that says, I am your upline, and apparently now I'm also your sponsor. And so he came down and talked with me. He said, look, Pete, you want to do this business, you got to learn the product. You got to learn how to sell. You've got to run meetings. You got to be able to talk to the people effectively. And I realized right then it was something totally new for me. And so I began to study the business and all aspects of it and the techniques necessary to be successful in business. Well, as time went on, we told you some of the story last night. In our 10th month, we reached a very high level of PV, and we went on to become diamonds, double diamonds, and triple diamonds. In 1985, we decided to take the business international. Our first market was Italy. We were well qualified to go to Italy. We didn't know anybody in Italy. We didn't speak Italian. Never had been to Italy. So we went to Italy and we developed that new approach that's been used around the world. We walked around the lobbies of the hotels, on the busy streets, in the fine restaurants of Milan, saying, "Do you speak English? Do you speak English? How about you? Do you speak English?" Finally, a young man said, "Yes, I do." I said, "Sit down, I need to talk to you." And we sponsored him. Our first IBO in Italy. Emily gave us the number that we're very proud of, 0000. We were the first IBO in Italy. The next year, oh, by the way, Massimo Bini, who most of you know, made EDC last month. We built several front line, and I remember driving that particular line 12 deep, and then we discovered Massimo. That's your lesson for the weekend on building depth. The next year, we went to Spain. We opened up Spain. Again, we were the first IBO in Spain, became the first emeralds in Spain. Last month, we broke another triple diamond in Spain. We talk about the dream, yes. But you know, I was more motivated by the nightmare. You get nightmares? Sometimes I get them when I'm awake. Sometimes when I'm sleeping. But this time I was awake. And as I'm going back and forth to work, having a dream to be in the planes, the nightmare took over. And here was the nightmare, that I would work all my life. I would never find an opportunity. I'd be commuting every single day till they retired me. And then, I had this vision in my mind, I'm sitting in a rocking chair with a warm blanket over me on the porch of my little Cape Cod home. And I'm rocking back and forth and thinking of all the opportunities I missed in my life. Oh, that was so strong. That motivated me more than the dream. When your fear of where you're going is greater than the changes you have to make to get there, you'll be on your way to success. The saddest words of tongue or pen are these: "It might have been." Yes, the rocking chair of regrets. Not full of memories and great stories like we have today, but sitting there rocking with those regrets. The next lesson I learned had to do with enthusiasm. I read Frank Betker's book, How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success Through Selling. And he said right in the first couple pages, "Do you want to know how I increased my income 700%? Certainly I want to know." I'm leafing through the pages quickly. And he says, the answer is only one word. And I'm thinking, what's that word? What's that word? He goes on and on. Finally, he says, enthusiasm. Now, I was an engineer. You realize it's illegal to be enthusiastic if you're an engineer. Then I read Norman Vincent Peale's books. One in particular, Enthusiasm is Contagious. Now, it wasn't like that in the book, but I had the opportunity to hear him speak live. What an incredible experience to be with people like that and to hear him. He had the audience really going on. I love to do that when I'm being translated in different markets in the world. I always make the translator do enthusiasm. Yes, it does make the difference. Then I read in Dale Carnegie. If you want to be enthusiastic, act enthusiastic and say enthusiastic words. I go to work the next morning. Now, typically at work in Newark, New Jersey, when somebody says to you in the morning, "How are you doing?" we had these cute little sayings. Another day, another dollar. Come see, come sa. I'll get by. And my all-time favorite, "Pete, how are you doing this morning?" So that morning, George comes up to me and says, "Pete, how are you doing this morning?" I looked at him and I said, fantastic. He said, what did you eat for breakfast? I said, no, I went to a meeting last night, learned how to make a lot of money. He said, you did? I said, yeah. He said, can I do it? I said, no. He said, why not, Pete? Why won't you let me do it? I said, you got a good job. You make enough money. Your wife is working. You're not interested in more money. Oh, yes, I am, Pete. I turned to walk away. He's following me. Come on, Pete, let me do it. Let me do it. I said, you don't have the time. You're too busy. For money, I can make the time. I walk away. He said, come on. I said, look, I know your wife won't help you. And he says, if it's about money, my wife will do whatever I say. I signed him up at lunchtime. One word. Fantastic. Oh, I learned a lesson of enthusiasm real quickly. And over the years, I've tried to develop that because it's so important. Because the world makes way for a person that knows where they are going. And when you express enthusiasm, it is contagious. And they want to follow.
I'm going to take a real quick break in this presentation. I want to show you an example of enthusiasm from our own team. I think you'll really like it. Okay.
Ask me about these things, or am I just going to play with these all night?
Oh, what a shot there.
This is my, I got a whole burst full of these things. Got to carry about 20 of them because they are so popular. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this? Watch this. You see what that says on there? Art to Street.
Okay.
It is a lip gloss.
Show me.
I'll show you. Watch what happens when I unscrew. Ooh, lights come on!
That is
See,
cool.
you can make
Let me see that,
paint
baby.
your face for
Let me
it.
see-
No,
Let me see that.
you can
Look
use
at
it for
that.
your lips and make your
Oh my
lips
God,
softer than they already
so
are.
this is cool. So do you have any other colors?
Got lots of colors.
How many do you have?
5?
Yeah.
I have 5 colors.
Let me see them.
They're in my purse.
Show me. Oh, here's one. Here's another
This
one.
is another one.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Don't ask me to recite what they are. I'd have to look at the list.
How much are they?
$20.
20. Oh, hey.
20 bucks.
You know what? I have a lot of friends that would like these. Hey,
Well,
girls.
they're like
Hey,
great
look.
Christmas
Everybody over
presents.
here. Come over here. Look. Look at these. Look at these things. Look at this. Isn't this cool? Look at the way this. And you can see yourself. Oh my. That's pretty good. Wow. This color.
Well, I'm going to have to hire you for a salesperson.
This color is awesome. So, baby, hey, where we're going. $20. Okay, I'll get you $20. I need 3 of these.
Just
You have,
3?
you have 3
I have 5.
right now?
Yep.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
got some more in the car if you really, I mean, if all these girls want some.
Yeah. Hey, ladies.
Oh,
Hey,
you
look
guys
over
want
here.
some?
Hey, look, guys, over here. Look. This is. Look at this. See how cool it is, everybody? Here we go. All right. I'm all about this. Thanks.
Okay. I'll go get them. You wait right here.
I will.
Don't go away.
I will.
Okay.
In Asia, matter of fact, and they had a promo video. And the promo video had me speaking for a few minutes and ended at this point. I'm asking the question, how do you make somebody do something they don't want to do? And they cut the video. And on the screen comes, you have to come to the seminar to get the answer. Seminar was loaded. People coming for the answer. Now, I didn't tell them, they only cut out 2 words. How do you get somebody to do something they don't want to do? You can't. Here's the old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But you sure can salt the oats. Make them thirsty. And we do that here. People after people coming on the stage, making awards, people from all backgrounds, all walks of life, education levels, all sizes. Yeah, we want you to believe that you can do it. Because when you want to do it, then you'll do it. Well, I learned that lesson early. You see, there's 2 types of motivations in the world. One is restrictive and the other is constructive. Restrictive is what I used when I had the job and had people working for me. You will get that job done by Friday or else. Or else what? Or else the hammer comes down. And you won't get your next promotion. You may even lose your job. You can get it done by Friday or else, my friend. The other type of motivation is constructive. You want to do it. And when you want to do it and you're serious about it, nothing will stop you. Well, I knew that lesson. In fact, understanding that helped me make diamond in a few years. But when it came to the family, it was another matter. I wasn't transferring it into my family life. At that time, we had 6 kids living at home, some in high school, some in the junior high school level. The report card came in. I was very disappointed. C's and B's. Well, every night at 6 o'clock, we would gather for dinner. We had to run it like a military camp. You can imagine, with 6 kids. We'd all sit down at 6 o'clock, talk about the day, have dinner. Well, they come to dinner that day at 6 o'clock, and they could see my attitude on my face. I said, look, you guys, I'm really getting annoyed. And if you don't straighten this out and start getting better grades, or else, right, you're going to be grounded. You're not going to get on a telephone. We're going to take the TV out of your rooms. So you get up into your room tonight and begin right now and study for the better grades, or else. They got up from the table, went to the room, slammed the door, locked it. I never knew what took place until the next marking period. The grades came out. They were the same. No change. Now they're upset about coming to the dinner table that night, understandably. But it hit me, one of those aha experiences, that I wasn't handling this properly. I was using the wrong type of motivation. I had to move to the constructive, want-to motivation. So they come into the room, dinner table, and there I am sitting with a big smile on my face, happy as can be, and they're looking at me. What's going on here? Something's wrong with this scene here. Well, they come in, they sit around the table, and I said, I don't know about you guys, but I had a fantastic day. How was your day? Now they're really concerned. I said, you know, and I reached into my pocket at that point, pulled out a wad of $100 bills. And I said, have you guys ever seen a $100 bill? And I snapped one off. I see their eyes started to open up a little bit. I said, look at that dollar. Look at that $100 bill. Look at the layout, the coloring. It's a piece of art. I said, and look right here. Ben Franklin. You know Ben? He's been credited with discovering electricity. And he wrote the proverb, a penny saved is a penny earned. That got no traction. I kept ripping them off. I said, look at the backside. Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the birthplace of America, where the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States was developed, ratified, right here, Independence Hall. Now they don't know what's coming. So I sat back a little bit, and then I said, you know what else I like? I like A's. I really, really, really like A's. In fact, I get goosebumps when I see A's on a report card. And I am overwhelmed with this feeling of generosity. Now they're leaning forward. What's coming next? In fact, I get so generous when I see A's that I am willing to part with these Ben Franklins. 1 per A. Now, their eyes are like this, sparkling. Their mouths are open, drooling. I know what's going on. The girls are thinking about all the clothes they're going to buy with the $100 bill, yes? The boys are thinking about sound equipment, sporting goods. Dinner was over. They quietly get up from their seats, go into their rooms, and not only do they not slam the door, they leave it open. And I walk by, and lo and behold, they're studying. That marking period cost me $1,700. I did it one more marking period. Cost me more. But you know the important thing? In that 6-month period, they developed the habit of success. They developed the desire for knowledge and the pride of rising above average. They went on to the major universities, some in the U.S., some abroad. And they got great grades. Some made the dean's list. And so we have to apply these lessons we know to all our lives, the balance we talked about. Constructive, I want to motivation. I hope it's inside of you today, after this weekend. You got it in here, I want to do it. Because we can't make you do it. We don't want to make you do it. You have to want it. And if you want it strong enough, if you're motivated by the dream or perhaps the nightmare, you're going to want it. And then you're going to move on to your success. Well, the next lesson I learned is one of learning. Most people, when they get into the action mode and they have failure or experience, not success, they quit. Jeff Olson in The Slight Edge tells us 19 out of 20 people that start something stop. Kiyosaki tells us 10% of the people over here have 90% of the money. Wilfredo Pareto tells us the 80-20 rule. 20% of the people do 80% of the work, yet 80% of the results. So people get into the second stage and they quit. Show the plan 3 times, nobody gets in, I quit. Show it 6 times, no results, I quit. There was a time I showed the plan 23 straight times, I got no's. You know what I did about it? I moved to the next stage. Evaluate it. Why? What's the problem? What am I doing wrong? I thought that was pretty heroic of me after 23 no's. So I went to my first diamond club, got in a limousine with another couple just made diamond. He said, Pete, what was your biggest challenge in the business? And I told him 23 straight no's. And he looked at me and he said, my first 46 plans were no's. He made diamond in 3 years. The ability to fail and then bounce back. Thomas Watson, founder of IBM, the first chairman of many, many terms. When being interviewed about success, he said this, you want to be successful? Double your failure rate. This is from an astute businessman, founder of IBM. Double your failure rate. Some of you need to show more plans. You need to get more no's. And then you're going to lead on to success. Well, I got to move quickly. My time is running out. I have several more lessons, but I'll skip towards the end. You have to leave here with some urgency to get the job done. My favorite story about urgency has to do with a wealthy gentleman who had just about everything that you could imagine in life. Money, beautiful family, nice home, good conditions. The one thing he didn't have was a grandchild. Now he had 5 lovely daughters that married well, but no grandchildren. So the next Sunday afternoon, he invited them all for dinner. And he made this announcement. To the first daughter of mine and her husband that produced a child, and of course a grandchild for me, I will present them with $1 million. Cash. Tax-free. Dinner was served. He closed his eyes to say grace. You're ahead of me. I'm not sure what you're thinking. But let me finish the story. When he opened his eyes, no one was there. Now that's urgency. That's getting the job done now. Well, Amway is on a roll right now. I think you know that. We take a look at what's been taking place. The last year we grew 17%. In the last 5 years, 73%. When we know what has happened to most of the world economically, individuals, companies, industries, even entire nations, downturn economically. Yet with people like you and me with a dream, or maybe a nightmare, have built this business 73% in the last 5 years. And the projections indicate that over the next 10 years, it's possible that we will double this business. In other words, recreate all the success of our first 54 years in the next 10. You have a decision to make. Are you going to be part of this growth that's going to take place? 18,000 new platinums last year. More coming this year. Who knows how many it's going to be? Do you want to be part of it? You have a decision to make. You're going to take the current, ride it to your dreams and your goals. Or maybe not. And then, just possibly, you may end up in the rocking chair of regrets. Thank you, guys.